play the way the Saints have to play this game. All right? And look, hey, sometimes you just got to pop out and show them.
And from that moment on, Dennis Allen proceeded to pop out and show us that he could lose 7 games in a row and his job. And now he's going to pop out of our lives as the Saints finally fired former head coach Dennis Allen. After 2.5 disastrous, embarrassing, boring seasons, we're finally free, man. Woke up to the best news pod. We are finally free. We did it. Hallelujah. It's been a long 2.5 years, but we did it. We're free. Woke up today and it felt like Christmas again, and I was an 8-year-old kid running down the stairs early in the morning. Man, this is one of the best days in Saints history. And if you're happy about the Saints firing Dennis Allen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And we got a lot to talk about. The Saints fired Dennis Allen finally. Who's going to take over for Dennis Allen as the interim head coach? We have Saints players celebrating his firing. And what happens now? Will the Saints be trading away all of their players and starting to rebuild with the trade deadline just a day away? We're going to talk about all of this in today's video, but first check out this ad from Autograph, where you can be rewarded for being a Saints fan, reading articles, listening to podcasts, and I think it's going to be a busy week for all that. So if you want to be rewarded for doing what you're already doing, check them out. Big news to share with you guys today. I'm excited to be partnering up with Autograph, a company co-founded by NFL legend Tom Brady. Autograph is the best place to find the latest coverage of your favorite team, whether it's the NFL or NBA or MLB. Autograph has it all. They have articles, blogs, podcasts, literally everything that you could ever need as a fan on their app. On top of that, they reward you for viewing content of your favorite team, stuff that you were already gonna do. For example, me, I can listen to a Saints podcast anywhere, YouTube, Google, Spotify, Apple, literally anywhere. But if you listen or watch the podcast on Autograph, you get coins. And in the app, you can use those coins to redeem rewards, such as free, no-fee tickets, memorabilia and merchandise, and one-of-a-kind experiences. I'll also be uploading my content up there as well, so you can also watch my videos up there and get rewarded for doing so. All you have to do is download the Autograph app, which is free by the way, and use my referral code CASH, or you can just click my referral link down in the description. Again, use my referral code CASH, it'll help me and the channel out a lot. And if you want to help support me and the channel in any other ways, you can just click my link tree down in the description. There's lots of options for you there as well. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Let's get back to the video. For the first time since 1980, the New Orleans Saints have fired a head coach mid-season, and this is the first time under the ownership of the Bensons that they fired a head coach mid-season. Shout out to Dennis Allen, man, generational loser. And this comes after he led the Saints to an 18-24 record over 2.5 seasons, going 7-10 his first season, 9-8 last year, and 2-7 this season, but went on a 7-game losing streak, and they lost to the worst team in the NFL yesterday, the Carolina Panthers, in Dennis Allen fashion. And Bryce Young, no matter how his career ends up turning out, he will forever have a spot in Saints history. We will always appreciate him for what he did, that final drive, the team that he led, a team that is actively trying to tank, a team that traded away players. He led them to a win over Dennis Allen's defense. And had Bryce Young not done his job yesterday, we'd be sitting here talking about, oh, the Saints won. All right, but now we have amazing news that Dennis Allen has been fired, and Bryce Young played a huge role in that. And it makes it even funnier that Dennis Allen's last win as a head coach in the Superdome was versus the team that ultimately ended his tenure as the Saints head coach. Want to know something even wilder? Dennis Allen is now the first coach in the Super Bowl era to be fired by 2 different teams, the Raiders and the Saints, while having the same starting quarterback. Derek Carr got Dennis Allen fired twice now. Generational bad. Generational losers. Generationally bad everywhere. And firing Dennis Allen is a step in the right direction to focusing on the future. Now, I will say this, Dennis Allen had to be fired. It's a step in the right direction, but firing him does not fix the Saints' issues. They still have an old roster. They still have cap issues. They still suck at drafting. Firing Dennis Allen doesn't fix anything right now, but it is a step in the right direction for the Saints to eventually start winning games again. But firing Dennis Allen doesn't make the Saints a great team now. They're still a bad team. The only difference now is that the Saints took a step in the right direction to move forward and to make changes when changes are needed. Initially, when Dennis Allen was hired after Sean Payton surprisingly retired, Dennis Allen was named the head coach of the Saints and was hired as the head coach of the Saints to continue continuity of a winning culture that Drew Brees and Sean Payton had established for over 15 years. 15 years of winning, and it took Dennis Allen 2.5 seasons to destroy everything that those two guys built, to destroy everything that Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and that 2017 Saints team built up. It took him 2.5 years to destroy that. Man, he's generational in the wrong way. And it's crazy that it took this long for Dennis Allen to be fired. After his first season, he signed his quarterback that he must have. Then his second season, they fired Pete Carmichael, who was an issue. Hired Clint Kubiak. He got his offensive coordinator. He got his defensive staff. He got his quarterback. He brought in some guys to be on the medical and training staff. And all of these things have not worked out for him. Then in the press conference after the Panthers, he was saying Derek Carr was rusty. We're blaming it on the injuries. The players aren't doing what they're supposed to do. The dude knew it was over yesterday, and he was just trying to point out excuses. The Saints would put out a statement saying, yada, 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 blah, 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 we fired Dennis Allen. Yeah, whatever. You get the whole point. But something I want to point out is that this is what Mickey Loomis, the general manager, had to say. DA is an excellent football coach. This season we have had an avalanche of injuries. It took its toll. DA has never offered excuses. He fought each day for this organization and this team, and that is what makes today disappointing. Dennis has been an integral part of this organization's success for the better part of 20 years. He will be missed. He will in fact not be missed. I feel like this statement right here proves that this call and this firing was from Gayle Benson. Gayle Benson made this call, the owner who a lot of us, including myself, believe that she wasn't going to do anything. I thought she was going to leave it up to Mickey Loomis, and Mickey Loomis clearly did not want to fire Dennis Allen. He compared him to Bill Belichick and Chuck Noll a few months ago. He said we got to look past the results earlier this season, and he didn't sound like a guy who was very imminent to fire his head coach. Nick Underhill would put out an article after the firing saying that Gayle Benson began meetings with players last week to get a feel for what was going on with the Saints, and at the end, she decided to act. I believe that this is her decision, and I'm glad that she stepped in because I don't think Mickey Loomis was going to do it, which brings us to our next topic. Mickey Loomis is a problem. Mickey Loomis should have been fired with Dennis Allen. Mickey Loomis wanted to wait and put the players through this turmoil of a bad head coach. He would have waited till January to fire Dennis Allen. That's an issue. He's got to be able to look the players in the face and tell them why he would keep DA. And clearly not. The locker room themselves were saying that the locker room was lost. These players were literally pointing out that the head coach was an issue. I don't understand why Loomis was so focused on being patient and waiting. This dude's a generational loser, and I think Mickey Loomis is now our next problem. And if you haven't already, I would very much recommend checking out that article from Nick Underhill. There's a lot of really good details in there. I'm not going to say really any of them, but man, is there a lot of stuff in there that I would love to say right here, but I won't. But man, did the players not like Dennis Allen. The Saints also posted a statement from Dennis Allen, and they basically said, I'm just kidding, I'm not reading all of that. You don't want to hear that, I don't want to hear that, or read it. That's some bullshit, so forget about that. But I will mention that Jay Glazer did say that he did get on the phone and got off the phone with Dennis Allen. Dennis was disappointed, but he has love for the organization, the people, the city, and will always have so much love for New Orleans. He always will. And I'll say this, Dennis Allen as a head coach was complete butt cheeks for the Saints, but as a defensive coordinator, this is the one nice thing we'll say about him. As a defensive coordinator, he played a pretty big role as to why the Saints were able to have those 2017 to 2020 seasons. So that's the only good thing I'll say about him in this video. After it was announced that head coach Dennis Allen was fired, some Saints players, former and current, took to social media to express their feelings about the move, and it seems like this dude was truly hated by his players. A.T. Perry, a guy the Saints released earlier this season to make a spot for an offensive lineman, a guy a lot of fans had a lot of hope for to come through and be a playmaker for the Saints. A.T. Perry tweeted out and basically quoted former Saints receiver Michael Thomas, "God doesn't like ugly," and yesterday Michael Thomas tweeted that out. And as we know, Michael Thomas has been very vocal about the issues with head coach Dennis Allen. Called him a loser earlier in the offseason, and then yesterday he was calling out Derek Carr, and then said God doesn't like ugly. And then today, after it was reported that he was fired, Michael Thomas said, there it goes. There goes the worst issue and the biggest problem with the team right there. There it goes. So we have A.T. Perry and Michael Thomas expressing their emotions about Dennis Allen. How about Carl Granderson taking to Instagram? Last night after the game, he posted on his story a heartbroken emoji with a song saying, "I gave it all I got." Seemed very upset about the loss, and then today posted an actual post of him walking through the tunnel smiling. Said, "This is how I'm walking into work today." Also posted on his story changes. It seems very happy about Dennis Allen being fired, and this is a defensive player. It's not like a guy who doesn't interact. This is a guy who he talks to and interacts with every day, celebrating the firing of the head coach. You also had Chris Olave's brother on Twitter saying that we're back and posted a funny little video right here. You also had Kendre Miller leaving comments, laughing emojis under Carl Granderson's Instagram post. Alontae Taylor posted to his story something about self-sabotage. Man, these players, they just have to be so relieved to have this loser out of their building in their locker room. And on Instagram, on the post where the Saints announced that the head coach was fired, we had multiple players liking this post. Chris Olave liked it, Kendre Miller liked it, Alontae Taylor liked it. And yesterday, Alvin Kamara said the players have confidence in each other and they're going to play for each other, but there may not be something else that they're confident in and that they'll play for, hinting at the coaches. The players were just fed up with this dude who had no solutions other than to keep doing what you're doing. And now with Dennis Allen fired, the Saints named Darren Rizzi the special teams coordinator, their interim head coach. Now, is this good or bad? I'll tell you this, Darren Rizzi is considered one of the best, if not the best, special teams coordinator in the NFL. That's how he's looked at around the league. That's not a Saints fan looking at a coach and saying he's good. The NFL views him as one of the best in the business. I really like this. He's the assistant head coach. He has a relationship with all of the players because he has to teach and coach all of these players how to play special teams. He has a relationship with probably every single player. Whereas if it was Clint Kubiak, he doesn't have a relationship with the defensive guys really, I would assume. So this is a good move. He's also the assistant head coach, so he knows how to deal with the time management, how to deal with offense and defense game situations and stuff like that. So I think out of all the options right now, Darren Rizzi is the right move. The Saints aren't going to go out and do head coaching searches in the middle of the season. That just won't happen. Teams promote a staff member to interim head coach during the season. They don't go out and hire Mike Vrabel or Bill Belichick. I mean, just look at some of these moments from Darren Rizzi that I found on Twitter. One of these moments, he literally told Dennis Allen to throw a challenge flag.
Is it a touchdown? For sure? For sure. Are you sure? Throw it.
Another moment was last season when Dennis Allen apologized to the Falcons for scoring points. Darren Rizzi was the one standing on business and was in Arthur Smith's face saying, what are you going to do about it? Like, he was in his face. Also, here's a moment where him and Carl Granderson are getting along. Players are celebrating with him. And I'll tell you this, the special teams for the most part over the last few years has been good, decent. He does a great job at finding gunners. JT Gray found Rashid Shaheed. Does a good job of finding undrafted guys who are talented. I think this is the right move for right now. Now, I'm not saying he should be the head coach next season, but for the interim head coach, Darren Rizzi is the absolute right choice. And Darren Rizzi just got done talking to the press conferences and the reporters and stuff, and man, you guys gotta listen to him talk. This dude is just full of energy. I can see why they absolutely chose him even more so than I could before. You even had Foster Moreau say that Darren Rizzi, he's an unbelievable leader of men. Tyrann Mathieu said that he believes in him. And if you look at all the stuff that Darren Rizzi was saying, it's so refreshing to hear him talk compared to Dennis Allen saying the same thing over and over and over. Darren Rizzi said that they're looking to address and evaluate and reevaluate everything and everyone because the product is unacceptable. He also said that he plans to change some things because they've been doing the same thing in the organization for a long time. He also is not pulling the injury excuses like Dennis Allen pulled yesterday. He said they just have to execute better. He said the fans, the players, and him, they should all be pissed off. But what does the future hold for the head coaching spot? Well, we won't truly know what they're going to do until January, but I'm assuming they'll interview candidates. They won't interview anyone, though, until January and February, and they'll narrow down their search. But it's not going to be a good search for the Saints. Out of every team that's going to be looking for a head coach, the Saints are going to be at the bottom of the list. They have no salary cap. They have aging players. It's not going to be an ideal situation. It's practically a rebuild. It's not ideal, and we have Benjamin Albright on here saying that the Saints are going to have to offer someone like a 6-year contract to get someone, like what the 49ers did with Kyle Shanahan. The situation isn't good. The Saints are not going to get Ben Johnson. I don't think they'll get a Bill Belichick. Mike Vrabel, maybe, but they're not going to be at the top of anyone's list, and the people at the top of the Saints list are not going to want to come to the Saints. Now, Aaron Glenn on the Lions, he's someone who could come in and be a part of a rebuild and help establish a culture. But for the most part, the Saints are not going to be getting anyone insane like Ben Johnson or the top candidate of a head coaching search. And given that the trade deadline is tomorrow, will the Saints be sellers at the trade deadline and try and move on from a lot of players? Well, this report from Tom Pelissero basically says the Saints will not be having a fire sale. However, though, it is possible the Saints could trade Marshon Lattimore. There's been a lot of reports saying Lattimore could be traded last week. Said the Chiefs were calling, the Ravens were calling, but the Saints won't accept an offer unless they feel it's fair because Mickey Loomis said that offers this time of year are always undervalued. Some other candidates could be Chase Young to be traded, but outside of that, that's all I could really think of. And that's going to take us to this next point and our last point. Should the Saints tank or win games? I'd like the Saints to beat the Falcons, but also I think it's best for the team and the future of the team that they just keep losing. I hate to say that, but it's better for this team that they get a higher draft pick than it is for them to go 7-10 this season. It is more important for me. It is more important for the long-term health of the team that they lose out and they can draft Travis Hunter as opposed to go 7-10 and get the 10th overall pick. Big difference. I won't be mad if they beat the Falcons. I'm assuming they'll win a few more games this season. Maybe the Raiders, maybe the Giants. But that's about it. So we'll see. I think it's better for the team long-term if they start losing games. Not on purpose, but if they just don't pull off a 7-10 season. But we won't know what happens for a few months in terms of hiring a head coach, where the Saints end up in the draft. But for now, just for today and for forever, let's celebrate the fact that Dennis Allen is no longer on the Saints as their head coach, and we will likely never have to deal with him again. If you're as happy as I am, subscribe to this channel, Cash Sports, for more daily info content, Saints up-to-date news, all that stuff. Have an excellent day, and hopefully this was a good start to your week. Peace.